My parents, when they realized that I was dating royalty, they sat me down in Florida, in their house in Jacksonville, Florida. And it was a really serious, I don't know how y'all's dads would talk to you, but it was a really, like, I knew a serious conversation was coming from a mile away. Bring the coffee over. Mijo, siéntate ahí. Wait, sit right there. Mijo, wait. Tenemos que hablar. We gotta talk. Sit down. Your girlfriend, Amanda. Do her parents know that you're poor? Do they know that we're poor? There is no dowry. There is going to be no support system. Like, you are just out there. I was like, yeah, Dad, they know. Like, we're good. They don't care. They don't care? They don't care. Then they don't know. If they knew you were poor, she could have anybody. Why would she be with a poor Cuban kid like you?
Aww, her favorite poor Cuban kid.
I've never believed in the one. My whole life, I would argue. I grew up in church. I'd be like, you know, God's got somebody for you. And even as a kid, that just didn't clock for me. One idiot's going to go out there and marry the wrong person and just mess up the algorithm for absolutely everybody. I was kind of a pain in the butt. A buddy of mine who's always really creative and artistic is like, look at this sunset. Can you believe God painted this sunset just for us? I was like, bro, God did not paint that. That is like just the sunset today. The difference in heating of the surface of the earth created those clouds.
I'm so literal like
it's
you.
6:30. Like, what are we talking about? God painted that. That's just 6:30 in Nashville, Tennessee is going to look like this.
You're so unromantic.
Exactly. So I always felt the same way about like the one. There's no the one, right? 19 years old, I was dating this girl and she invited me to church. She said, if we're going to keep dating, we got to go to church. And I'm getting to the point, I promise. Church lets out and this girl stands up in the front. And I think to myself, that's the girl I'm going to marry. Out of the blue, that thought comes to me. And I also said it out loud without knowing it right next to the girl I was dating. So I got dumped immediately right then. And it was literally the last breakup I ever had was that moment. I didn't meet her for 4 years after that. But in that moment, my whole theology was destroyed. My mom gave me wedding night advice.
God. She sure did.
And so that was a horrible experience.
Now we got to know. You have to say it. What happened?
She was like, we're Christian kids, right? Like, we're Christian kids. So they're, you know, we grew up in the saving it for marriage thing and all that stuff. She's like, no, listen, Abner, she's a good Christian girl. So before you go in there and do the deed, you got to warm
basically
her
a
up.
foreplay
And I was
talk.
like, what? What are you talking about? And she was, well, you know, before you have sex with her, you need to just, mother.
Yeah.
Stop.
Please
and
don't.
maybe never speak again.
Just, I think your mouth is done talking forever.
I think your mouth is done all it needs to. The speaking is done forever.
Who was it? Somebody pulled me aside and said, I know you're a good girl, but you know for him you're going to have to be slutty sometimes. And I was like, all right.
I did mushrooms, and I came out of it a much deeper believer and a much better Christian.
Wow.
All right, so I'm in the experience, and the first thing that happens is I'm behind a purple velvet curtain. There's a bar on the other side, and all the sounds of a bar. I know it's God on the other side of the curtain with his homies, is how it made sense to me. And I hear God say, all right, I'm going to bring my friend Abner in here, and he's going to freak out. And everybody laughs. Curtain opens. I feel like an arm around my shoulder. I don't see God, but I know he's next to me, and he's kind of guiding me into the room in front of all his friends, his homies. And they're all kind of waiting. And I just start screaming, oh, my God. Holy crap. Oh, my God. And they all start laughing like, oh, God told us you were going to freak out. He called me his friend. He called me his friend. And in real life, I'm just weeping. God introducing me to people as his friend. This is my friend Abner. Wrecked me. Hours go by. I got to go to the bathroom. I walk in front of the mirror, and I see me. Nothing magical. Nothing crazy. I see me, and I just start laughing, and I start crying. And our friend, who was kind of, you know, the guide there, she goes, what do you see? I just pointed at myself, and I said, I see God's friend.
The most devastating parts these past several days are when I feel like little movements in my tummy, whether it's like digestion, gas, whatever it may be. Sometimes my instinct is to be like, maybe that's a kick. And then that like flicker of a thought is very devastating to come off of and remember, like, no, she's not in there anymore. Saturdays are also really devastating because that's the day of the week where I would be another week further along in my pregnancy. That first Saturday, I was like, I'm supposed to be 18 weeks pregnant, but this just stopped and got ripped from me. That's hard. The week after that, I was 19, and I'm anticipating future devastating moments, like the date that we were supposed to have our anatomy scan, the date that we were supposed to celebrate our gender reveal. Even Christmas feels devastating because I just had pictured Christmas this year with our two boys and a big bump and just like excited for the baby. I'm anticipating the time around her due date to be particularly difficult. And I was talking to a mom, and she's like, the anticipation's almost worse. Griffin's like, you're going to meet the baby? And I was like, yes, I'm going to meet the baby. I said, but we're not going to get to take this baby home. And he said, but I want to take this baby home. I said, I do too, buddy. I do too. And this whole time, that's still one of the toughest things to grieve, is that our boys won't get to meet their baby sister. Through this loss, I've had to lean on you in ways that I've never had to lean on you in our relationship ever before. And you have been such a rock for me. And such a pillar of hope. In such a dark and isolating time, having you to lean on has just meant the entire world to me. And I think because of this, like, even though I was gutted and heartbroken, I feel like it made us both stronger as individuals and together. And that's been a positive thing that's come out of what felt like something that would have no positive aspects.
Seeing you in physical pain, seeing you in emotional pain has been horrible, but your bravery in going through the motions and not numbing out, I just think that speaks volumes about who you are as a person. I think you're an amazing woman, an amazing wife, and an amazing mom.
But you're not giving yourself enough credit. You have embraced every side of grief for me. I just remember in our bathroom afterwards, you were like, you can be angry, you can be numb, you can be devastated, you can be confused, you can be absolutely heartbroken, and I'm here for all of it. And that like really meant so much. And like I couldn't imagine going through this alone.
I love you.
They literally took my prenatal vitamins off my bathroom counter and put them out of sight. And it means so much to have friends that are so enmeshed in the fabric of your life that they can go before me and make the road forward a little bit more comfortable. And that means so much to me, everything that they did and continue to do. Like, we still haven't cooked. We don't have plans to cook dinner for, I don't even know. Like, it just, and it's like, I like cooking, but that has just taken a big part of my mental load away so that I can just sit and think about healing. When she came, the doctor and the nurse were both crying with us. And that stands out to me a lot. That was really meaningful because it felt like they were recognizing this loss, which also was recognizing her life. And so that was really meaningful. I mean, they were absolute angels. Everyone that helped us in the hospital those couple days. So empathetic, so clear, and so comforting. And so validating in everything. Everyone that walked in the room kept saying, I hate that we're meeting under these circumstances. But yes, every nurse, every doctor, every person, phlebotomist, whatever was coming in was just so gracious. The ultrasound technician was moving really fast. Like, she was taking those pictures. They're always kind of fast, but she was taking pictures really fast. And whenever we saw the baby, she quickly flipped the screen. But I just remember, without going into too many details, she was really still in there. And they put the little thing on where they're looking for the red and blue for cardiac activity. And the only red and blue dots were outside of her little body. And she said, Abby, I don't have good news for you. And that was when it feels like there was an Abby pre that moment and an Abby post that moment. Because then we leave the ultrasound room, go back to our doctor. Our kids are wreaking havoc in the office.
They are.
And then you're put in a position where you have to make decisions that and you start the process of making decisions you never thought you'd have to make. How you're going to bring this baby into the world without a heartbeat,